Good afternoon. Michael Mazarang here again. And today we're visiting one of our existing customers. We just started production here. And an interesting situation. We were brought in by our engineering referral partners, and they did an inspection here of the house, of some other work that was installed by another company that's actually located here locally, a Crawlspace structural wood company. And pretty much everything we found was a complete disaster. And just wanted to kind of share with the public, you know, be careful of who you hire when you do these types of repairs, whether it's structural wood repair, encapsulating, waterproofing, these types of protocols. Just because they might pop up on a Google search doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best qualified candidate for the job. So we wanted to kind of feature here what we found, what the engineer found, and how they brought us into the project. A couple things here. We're going to talk about crawl space and foundation drainage. We'll start in the crawl space first today. Let me turn on some lights here to see what we're doing. And I wish I had gotten here a little earlier to see the cleanout. We had to pull the vapor barrier. The contractor that this client hired sistered about 10 of these floor joists. That was their solution for a bouncy floor system. And as you can see, this floor system is built on a series of crawl space piers. And as the engineer noted, what was really required to cut the spans down was a drop girder system, which we are developing. The installer put a bunch of trash in here and then just covered it up with the new plastic vapor barrier, which is really interesting. And so we had to remove that. As you can see here, the guys have removed all the trash. I wish I could have been here a little earlier to see the huge pile of trash. But as you can see, now I'm moving over to the center of the crawl space. The company deployed a commercial dehumidifier, and of all the wildest things I've ever seen in my life, they put about 80 feet of duct kit on this unit. And this specifically I'd like to talk about. You can see here, this duct kit snakes around the entire crawl space. And you can see it. It's almost, I think they snaked 3 different duct kits together for this crawl space. And you can see here, this is an Aprilaire dehumidifier. The duct kits are terrible on these dehumidifiers. These commercial dehumidifiers are not designed to move that much air. So when you put a duct kit on a commercial dehumidifier, basically you dampen its effectiveness, and especially one that's 80 feet long. I mean, how ridiculous. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to disconnect this duct kit. Once we install our crawl space piers and cut the spans in half in this on this floor system per the engineer's direction, and right where I'm sitting now, there's going to be a series of new piers and drop girders installed to stiffen this floor system to make this customer much more happy with the performance of her floors. So you can see here where the debris has been removed. In the process of getting ready to dig footings and install our series of 8x16 CMU piers and a structural steel drop girder. And when we return for our next visit, we'll show the finished product so you can see what a properly installed drop girder system and CMU pier looks like, as well as we're going to clean up this insulation, install a sensible vapor barrier for this customer, and of course we're going to rip out this stupid duct kit. And now we're going to go to the outside and we're going to show some really fun things out there. Here we are back outside the crawl space, and you can see here literally we have bags and bags and bags of trash that the guys collected that we'll have to haul off to the landfill. This company that the customer hired left all this trash under the vapor barrier. When you're installing a vapor barrier in a crawl space, you can't leave the trash there. This yard does have foundation drainage problems, and this company sent a couple of guys over here that really obviously were not trained well. This is the area where they supposedly put in drains. You can see around here, above grade, tiered flower bed system, water just pours out of here. This company dug up the soil and put in a very ineffective French drain, backfilled with the same gunky clay that they pulled out. Absolutely no effectiveness. Within minutes after this was backfilled, the system became ineffective. 4 downspouts here at the left rear corner. These 4 downspouts were tied into the same lousy French drain system that's failing. So all the water's doing is backing up, spitting out of the discharge points, and turning this area into a mushy mire. Important to remember, whether it's a landscaper or a waterproofer, never dump the entire system into the same pipe. Never put more than 2 downspouts on the same discharge line. So as we develop this system, we're going to have several discharge pipes in the new system to make sure that the discharge from these pipes is able to make its way out to the street without any obstructions. I mean, look at, yikes. I mean, it even gets better. The homeowner knew there was a problem, refused to pay this vendor, and the vendor took her to court. Took a lien out on the house. She ended up paying because she had no one to help her. And the work is incomplete. Look at this. They did nothing here. They also took out her foundation vents. Look at this here. In order to close off the crawl space and install that dehumidifier, they popped out her vents and didn't put them back. I mean, that's the foam board on the back side of inside of the crawl space. I mean, this is a reputable company in the Charlotte Matthews market. Well, not very reputable in my opinion. You can see this was the termination of what they installed. No exit line, no way for the water to get out. So what we're going to do here, we're going to convert this, pull out this stuff that this other company put in, and we're going to put in, instead of a French drain, we're going to put in a drainage swale. And on your screen, you'll see what a drainage swale looks like. Instead of going back with this gunky clay, which was how it got clogged in the first place, this is going to be a really pretty drainage swale that's going to have a pipe and sock, 57 stone in the middle, and a really nice decorative river rock on top. We're going to run everything this way. All those downspout discharges will be in the same trench in a separate pipe, and the discharge for the system, as you can see here, where it falls away naturally on this property, we're going to set up our discharge. We're going to do a lawnscape outlet here next to this bush where it's hidden and out of the way. Decorate that with some rocks to prevent erosion, because there's probably going to be a lot of water that comes out right here. So, unbelievable. These people were charged $15,000 and the company did absolutely nothing. So if you're in the Charlotte Matthews market, you're going to hire an encapsulation company, waterproofer, structural repair company, get a referral from an engineer. It's stunning the amount of things that most of the work that we're doing now is tearing out improperly installed work installed by others. So it's important to really be careful of who you hire, do lots of research, check the Google reviews, but mainly contact the engineering community, because they're not going to refer anybody that's terrible. So always do your due diligence and follow up on all the leads to make sure you find out about the reputation of these companies. So here in a couple weeks, we'll do phase 2. We'll show the crawl space retrofit with the installation of some drop girders and CMU piers per the engineer's recommendation, as well as this really elaborate drain system we're about to install. And we're going to be glad to share that with you on the finished product. So glad to have you this afternoon to see an improperly installed drain system, as well as some really crummy crawl work. And we're glad to have the opportunity to make this customer whole. We'll see you here shortly for round 2. Thank you. Well, here we are on the last day of production. I'm going to show a few things here about the installation. We're going to start in the crawl space, and you can see that we installed a brand new liner. We did request a budget to change out the insulation, but that will be done later. So we just kind of fixed up what was here. Some of the old yellow mixed in with the pink. Certainly that would be one final step that would really make this crawl space perfect. But nonetheless, we corrected the spanning issues as per the engineer inspection report that we'll put on the screen here for you to see. Part of the project was to cut some floor spans, and as you'll see here, we installed some masonry piers, as well as a structural steel drop girder, an I-beam, 5-inch I-beam. And you can see here that's been incorporated into the floor system perpendicular to get rid of that floor span. Now I think we're on about 7 to 8 foot spans with this introduction of this mechanism. And we did get rid of the worthless duct kit, as we talked about in the first part of the video. Provided no purpose whatsoever to keep this crawl space dry. And we've reset the dehumidifier to 65%, and it should run very well now and efficiently. A second drop girder was also added. Here, underneath the kitchen section, this girder went, I guess it's about 25-30 feet on this one, but we had performance issues up under the kitchen section going into the front or the front office area that is on the left front corner of the house. So that cut this span in half between this existing row or flush girder interface here that was existing on the home, and cut that span in half. We had a span of, let's see, pull up my laser here, and that was a 14-foot span. So a lot of these older homes, if you have a home built in the 80s and 90s, 70s as well, they tended to overspan the floor system. So by cutting this span from 14 feet to 7 feet, that is going to improve the performance upstairs. And of course, there's an island up there that was also deflecting the floor. This really makes a nice improvement for the overall performance of the floor system. So certainly, instead of putting some of these adjustable jack posts in place, it's just, why not just build a masonry pier? That's how the house was built. So you know, engineers will spec out, these CMU masonry piers built on 8 by 16, 24 by 24 by 8 inch footings. And you can put these supplemental girders to support floor systems as needed. Generally, the spacing is, you can go 7-8 feet with these CMU piers when you're using structural steel as opposed to dimensional lumber. The steel is much stronger, so you can get higher capacities. So, but the guys did a really nice job here on this drop girder installation. As you can see, we used metal shims at the girder pier interface, and you can see along the entire course of the girder line, all the floor joists are touching, which will eliminate squeaks and pops up there. So really, the guys did a really nice job of putting in this supplemental girder, as well as replacing this vapor barrier and getting rid of the trash that the other company had put down and sort of hid under the other vapor barrier, or partial vapor barrier that was here. So we've got a fully restored crawl space. The dehumidifier, of course, was here when we got here, so this is properly set now at 65%. And we've checked all of the vent locations to make sure they are properly closed. So this crawl space is a closed crawl space, and we'll have no problem staying dry as we approach the summer months. Okay, we're back outside now looking at the drainage improvements that we've done. We've put some of the river rock out here to help hide this condensate line coming from the dehumidifier, or from the air conditioning unit, and added some seed and straw here in front of the crawl space door. One of the other things we did here as well is we replaced all of the customers' foundation vents. The foundation vents get old and they can kind of fall apart and hit it with the weed whacker or what have you, and they get pretty broken up. So the best thing to do is just to buy some new ones, a new construction vent that looks, they put these on new houses. They look just fine. They're very professional, clean. They can screw into the side of the curtain wall. And then, we do the added step of caulking around the edge with silicone sealant to properly seed these into that interface. But yeah, these really turned out well. All these vents are brand new, and it really, with the color and of the brick, it really pops and makes it look an extra step to make this customer happy. The drain system is complete. Of course, it's kind of pretty wet right now, so we had to put some seed and straw around here with the top side of the drain. This is river rock. Right now it's kind of dirty because it came from the plant, but as we get a couple of rains, it'll wash some of the dirt off the rocks, and that'll improve the color, and the river rock will have more of a reddish brownish tinge to it, and it will look very decorative for this customer. So all this drainage that was coming down off of this retaining wall from the neighbor's yard will now fall into this drainage swale, and completely replacing the inefficient half-cocked French drain system that was installed by this other company. It didn't work. The downspouts, all these downspouts have been tied into a separate pipe. Along in our drainage field, we put in 3 catch basins. These 12-inch by 12-inch catch basins are a great way to carry water. When you have a challenge with a low spot in your yard, in addition to the open face French drain or drainage swale, these catch basins can move a lot of water. So, as we're moving in this direction, you can see where, the neighbor's discharge here, dumping water right into this area, created, basically, this was just a mucky mire for this client for a long time. But, now we've properly installed this drainage swale system. Of course, all these vents that the last contractor just left out. Not sure why that happened, but they've been replaced with new vents. So we've restored this customer whole to what should have been done last year. We've got another catch basin here as it turns, and we of course terminate our drainage swale here at the edge of the bed, or at the edge of the retaining wall, and switch to an underground piping system. This underground piping system is following this path. The way this house was graded, we really didn't have a lot of options of where to place the discharge line, so we chose around this bush, which is seen to be a safe place. Tried to create as much of a drainage area as we possibly could with these two landscape outlets. You know, these are the two discharges from the discharge from the gutters, as well as the discharge for the drain itself and the catch basins in separate systems. This water, we flow tested this system. Potentially we do see we may have to move this exit line based on what the first couple storms reveal. A lot of the water is collecting along the edge of the sidewalk, as well as natural water coming down the hill. So based on what we discover, we may have to extend the exit line closer to the street, which we can, you know, do that and fairly efficiently in a few hours if we have to. But that's the good news about these systems. If we need to change the course of an exit line, we can do that. But in the meantime, this gives us a good starting point, and it's for us to see what exactly shoots out of this thing when it rains really hard, which we'll be curious to see. But you know, it's often we were referred to this job by a licensed engineer. So this plan is following the plan designed by the licensed engineer. You can call engineers for drainage problems. You can call them, of course, for floor performance, structural issues. Often it's better to start with an engineer first before you call a contractor, to avoid being charged twice for a project like this poor customer unfortunately had to deal with. So you can bring the engineers in, you can have them inspect the work after it's completed. So very few people understand the importance of involving the engineer. And I've worked with engineers my entire career, you know, so to me it's just a normal working component of professionalism that we do every day. But, you know, customers, I think, sometimes may feel uncomfortable reaching out to an engineer. It's okay. That's what they're there for. They're there to design these systems so that a contractor has to follow that recipe. So to, you know, have a successful termination to the project like we have here, you know, this problem is solved, you know. So and the engineer at some point will be coming back here to inspect our work. So what a wonderful way to end the project. So if you have any questions about foundation drainage, engineering, crawl space piers, drainage swales, river rock, 57 stone, control pipes, dehumidification, controlled ventilation, you can call us. We do all these things. We're glad to consult with you. Most of the consultations are no charge, and a lot of times I can talk through challenges on the phone with customers to let them understand what kind of project is in front of them, and even talk general budgets. So this customer, you know, we're really grateful that we were able to restore her, make her problems whole, complete the project. But, you know, be careful. You know, the market is full of unqualified contractors that may appear to do good work. You know, you do a Google search, and the top 5 on the Google search, they all have good sales teams, well-trained, glossy brochures. They've got very effective technique, high-pressure sales. Get other opinions. Don't necessarily think that the top 5 companies in the Google search are the ones you want to work with. It's usually the companies that can't afford a lot of marketing that you have to dig to find are usually the best contractors to work for or work with when you're doing foundation repair, structural wood repair, or foundation drainage. And also, you know, make sure you get enough money in the budget to do it correctly. It's so important. So if you have any questions on this type of work, you can see our contact information at the bottom of your screen. We'd love a phone call, and we'll start with a phone consultation and work our way to a site inspection. Again, this is Michael Mazarang. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's time to wrap it up here for the day, and we'll see you on the next one. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much.